Jarret, you are the founder of 21 Again. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what 21 Again is and how you started it?
21 Again, natural testosterone booster, help men's hormones, boost functionality, act as a man. Why did I start it? Turned 42 and just had low energy, low motivation, low sex drive, like really just struggling to actually have a drive for much of anything. And almost instinctively knew that it had to do with my testosterone levels, dug into it a little bit, and went and got a testosterone test kit, ran the test, and my numbers came back, and I was at 274. I was low, right? You'll see, you run those test kits, you see them say a healthy range is anywhere from like 300 to 1,000. But honestly, anything below 500 as a man, and you're not running as a man anymore. You're not. This is the main hormone that drives your daily functions, your mood, your sleep, your energy, your leanness, strength. And I knew instinctively, and I did this test, confirmed that my testosterone was low, and I was like, now what? What am I going to do now, right? And the options were, hey, you go get some natural plant-based supplement off of Amazon, or you do hormone replacement therapy, right? TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. And I dug into them, and the pros and cons weighed them up, and I said, look, I'm not going to go the route of hormone replacement therapy. This is taking injections daily for the rest of your life, right? And it's you're taking the hormone directly, injecting it into your body. It boosts your testosterone levels. You feel great, but it comes with a host of side effects, right? Loss in sterility, testicular shrinkage, hair loss, potential heart issues. There's just a lot that comes with it that you say, hey, I want to function as a man, but I've got to settle for all these risks, right? I've got to settle for all these side effects. So that was a no for me. And instead, I went and researched the route of a natural plant-based testosterone booster. There's hundreds on the market. So I went through this sequence of testing the top-rated ones, the highest-selling ones, giving them a 90-day test, right? A 3-month test to see what they do. And 90% of them didn't do anything. And when I dug deeper, it was clear why not. They were marketing brands, right? They had a few hot names on, but they were subpar dosage. Some only had 1 or 2 ingredients. They weren't complementary ingredients. Who knew if they even worked for testosterone boosting? They claimed to, but, being a product developer and having my doctorate in product development, it was very easy for me to look at these supplement facts panels and just say, look, these things are formulated really poorly. And I found 1 or 2 that had a really good mix of ingredients and had reasonable levels of bioactive ingredients, so things that actually work to boost. And I tested those and they showed promise, right? They gave me more energy, they gave me more drive, more libido, but it wasn't satisfactory. It wasn't like something that blew my mind or something that changed my life, right? And it's at that point that I said, look, I can do this better. I know the science. I know how to build products. I'm going to build my own product. Got a bunch of powders in, a little V-mixer in my house, a little hand capsule filler, made a bunch, started taking them. And after 30 days, I knew I'd made a great blend. My energy was up. I had a kick in my step, started having a desire to go and work out again and get back in the gym. And I started sharing it with my friends because that's what I do, right? If I find something, I want to validate it. Man, is this a placebo? Am I convincing myself? Gave it to a number of my friends. And after 30, 60 days, I had people coming back to me saying, hey, can we have some more of that stuff? Do you have more bottles at home? And naturally, the answer is like, yeah, share them with your friends, take them out. And it was at that point that a few people who I trust significantly in the space, who actually measure their own data and their own biometrics, came back and said, look, you have got to share this with other people. You've got to commercialize this formula. You've got to share this. If others are struggling like we are and they feel like we are, you've got to share this. And that's how 21 Again came about. And the whole concept behind it is feel like you were when you were in your prime, when your testosterone levels were the highest, when you felt the best, when you had great sex drive, you were strong, you were lean, you were motivated, energetic, you slept well, right? Feel 21 again. That's where that came from.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. How would you say that 21 Again compares to other supplements on the market?
The big differentiator for us, right? Because anybody else looking in could be, oh, cool, just another plant-based testosterone booster. There's hundreds. Why you guys? Particular reason being two primary things. A host of effective ingredients that aren't just thrown in to boost testosterone. They're thrown in there to go after the 5 major functions of how you increase testosterone in the body. We can discuss those. And then secondly, they're used at clinical levels. So they're effective levels. They're actually affecting a function. They're not just, if an effective level is 500 milligrams and you see something on the market that is 50 milligrams, you know it's not going to work. We know what the clinical doses are that affect change. So we have complementary actions of these ingredients, right? They are helping each other for the 5 modes of action that boost it. And then we've got them at the right levels so that they're actually giving you a benefit. And I'm happy to unpack what those mechanisms of action look like. But, summarized, we are increasing luteinizing hormone, which works on the Leydig cells, which produces testosterone within the testes, right? So we're pushing that function. We are then allowing for more testosterone to be released. So when testosterone is produced, there's a sex hormone binding globulin, which binds up to testosterone, making it not free testosterone. So it's not circulating within the blood and affecting its functionality. Furthermore, the body will take testosterone and convert it into estrogen. So we're providing ingredients that slow down and reduce basically the conversion of testosterone into estrogen. Some of the ingredients are lowering our cortisol, and cortisol is an enemy of testosterone. So we've got ingredients in there that lower our cortisol, increase our sleep. All of that, great for testosterone because we produce most of our testosterone produced in the evening and in the early hours of the morning, right? So that's when it's at its peak. And then the rest of the ingredients are cofactors. They're part of the building blocks of the actual testosterone. So these are the 5 modes of action of how you actually go about building testosterone naturally in the body. And if you look at most of the supplements out there, they're missing 3, 4, maybe even 5 of those modes of action. They just got these, hot terms in there and they're throwing them in at a few milligrams. Where we're going in, we have 3,200 milligrams of active ingredient in a serving. That's double one of the better ones out on the market, right?
Yeah.
So in short, it's the complementarity that supports the modes of action, and it's also the levels.
Dude, that's awesome.
Well, Jay, you're using 21 Again Rewind, and I'd love to hear why and how you have felt and what it has done for you, because I think you've heard from me and why I built it and why I use it and what it's done for me and how it's changed my life. But I'm curious, you started taking it. You became one of the beta users. You've stayed on it as far as I know. So I'd like to hear from you how you feel.
Yeah, no, took it this morning. I've been taking it I think I started taking it probably in like February. When you first did that run of kind of beta product, I felt a little beta. I realized, man, I'm too beta in my life. So Jarret and I met at a golf tournament in Colorado, and just hit it off, and I felt like we were kind of kindred spirits of product developers, and I was asking Jarret, what are you working on? And you started telling me about this testosterone product. And it was interesting as you were explaining to me what was going on with men's testosterone, a lot of that started to ring really true. It was like, oh, I'm noticing that. I'm noticing that. I'm noticing that me, my friends. And you were just telling me that testosterone has gone down in the last 50 years for men by 50%. We're all way lower than our fathers were. And here are some of the signs that you're low testosterone or you have low testosterone. And so I started to really realize, like, man, this is interesting. And so I started taking it and was one of your beta testers and just noticed a total change and a big difference once I started taking it pretty quickly. Like within 30 days, I'd gone from 240 up to over 350. Which was a huge jump, like
big jump
very,
so
very
early.
quick. You know, you kind of warned me like this might take 90 days to get going. And I like saw
That's great.
a couple weeks, like this totally changed my life. And I've taken a lot of supplements and things that are like, oh, that I feel better, but that might be a placebo. And for me, this was like, this is for sure not a placebo. Like this is like night and day difference. And then over time, I've gone up even higher. Like I've gotten up to almost 600, which is a huge shift. And
That's
so
a huge shift.
I think through that period, like even with crazy stresses of work and life, like I've worked out more than I ever have in the last 10 years. I feel way better. I've noticed like a lot of those things you said, like more focus, more determination, just feeling like, man, I can conquer the world a little more. And I think 21 gives you that boost that then you can kind of keep going with and keep building on. And so it's been a huge game changer for me. I kind of joke with people that like outside of Pillow Cube, there's not been a product that's had as much of a direct impact. And so that's why I wanted you to come and want to offer our customers at Pillow Cube a special offer because we've become friends. So that they can get this product. Because I really think it does. It's affected my sleep. I think it's been huge. If you're sleeping on a Pillow Cube, you need 21 again if you're a guy to make it so that you sleep better. It really does change so many of those aspects in your life.
100%. You want to know something? I stepped off 21 again for the month of September. We're at the end of the month right now. I usually work out 3 to 5 times a week. A lift, 10,000 steps a day. My protein feel great and rest well. And really I'm pretty active with my kids. Now, there's been a lot going on in September, but I'll tell you, it's been a rough month for me. I've worked out probably 4 times the entire month. I absolutely have become more annoyed at going and spending time with my kids versus just knocking out a few more things via email or phone calls. And it was a very purposeful, hey, I'm going to step off it for a month and see if I actually really notice, because I haven't been off of it since I started taking it. It's clear validation for me that it does help me with almost every aspect of my life. Whether or not I'm ramping on my T levels or I've plateaued a little bit, the active consumption of it just keeps me motivated, driven, wanting to get involved. It's way easier for me to convince myself to go down. I've got a gym in my basement. It's not like I even have an excuse, right? Walk down a flight of stairs. So not having that piece that just pushes you over the edge. I found that with a lot of my friends. They say, it may not get me to do everything. It gets me to just start that first thing. And then once I start that first thing, everything goes from there. Yeah. So, a little bit of empirical evidence for myself that, I'm going to keep taking it continuously.
No, I think it's such like a huge impact. And like you mentioned about some of the differences in the product, I think it's a product that you've focused on making it as high quality as possible. You're using the best ingredients, the most bioactive possible. When you compare it, I've even gone in and just to kind of check and like, why is this having so much impact on me? I've gone into ChatGPT and loaded like, hey, here's 2 supplements I'm thinking of taking. Here's 21 again. I don't say which one I have already been taking, but I've said, this is one of the ingredient lists. Here's the other ingredient from the top testosterone booster on Amazon. Here's the top testosterone booster that I see all the time on Meta and online. And every single time ChatGPT is like, 21 against the best by far. It's got the best ingredients. It's going to do the most. Like this one is really just trying to make you horny. Like, that's really all it's doing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that
And
out
it's
there.
$80 a month.
Yeah.
And they're selling it as this, it's this dramatic change for men, but it's really not.
I've likely tried most of those. I'm telling you, man, I've tried the top sellers, the top performers, and very unimpressed. I mean, it's why we built our own. But I'm not surprised by it. And, we know that making a product the way that we've made it and not charging an exorbitant price, but having a higher cost to produce it, we understand that as a company, we'll make less margin, and that's okay for us. Like, we're not here to do that. What we're here to do is help men's health. It's very important. Because it helped me, because it helped my friends, I want it to help everybody else. It's super important. You mentioned testosterone levels in men. A 40-year-old man in the 80s, just in the 800s, not a problem. 2020, same 40-year-old person, below 400, right? Less than half. And the reason being that everything that's changed in our life, our sessile nature, we're on computers, we're on our phones, we're on screens, we're not active, right? The buff yoke 80s dad running around, right? That's not the case anymore. And our diets, the amount of stress that we have, our cortisol levels through the roof, bioplastics in our diet. I mean, all of these things over the years, right? Because 1980 does not look like 2020 whatsoever in terms of our lifestyle, our activity, our diets, the amount of processed food that we have, the amount of bioplastics. It just is very natural why we are at a lower testosterone level. You couple that with the body starting to reduce testosterone production by 1 to 2% every year since you turn 30, right? You are a third of yourself by the time you're in your mid 40s, and you're a half of what you were 40 years ago, right? So it's very clear that we are in a epidemic, if you would, of low testosterone in men.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see kind of what the consequences of that are, what the implications are. I think the other thing I really loved that when we started talking about this was that you wanted to make something that wasn't just going to have an impact for guys who go to the gym every day and like, kind of the guys who are lifting all the time and kind of meatheads. It was like you wanted to help every guy, the average guy who wanted to just feel better about themselves, feel more motivation. And I think that's like a big thing that drew me to 21 again, and being a customer and wanting to help scale it was the fact that you were trying to do something that helped everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point you make, Jay, and that was very important for me, because if you look at what's on Amazon, if you look at what's on most of these platforms, right, Meta, you can see they're pitching gym bros and like alphas who they already know. These are guys who know about their own testosterone. They've researched it. They know what drives it. Their whole life is spent around supplementing, working out, and being at their like optimum, right?
Yeah.
It's the average guy he's got kids, he's got a job, he's stressed, he's working, he's tired. These are not humans who are on top of knowing their biometrics and being able to hack their lives, and they don't understand that it's a spiral, and it is a spiral, because once you're tired and you don't get good sleep and you are more stressed and your cortisol's up and you're not active and you start eating bad, everything just stacks on itself and it becomes a spiral, right? These are the humans that we're really trying to educate and help, right? So part of our jobs with making a product like this is to educate the public, is to bring awareness around this epidemic of low testosterone. That's part of our jobs.